At this time, if you haven't already, I would like you to find your seats, but remain standing for the presentation of the colors and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, thank you, and please take your seats. Welcome to the University of Chicago Veterans Day programming. Today, we take a few minutes of time to recognize the phenomenal contribution of our military veterans and their services they have rendered to our nation and society. I want to take a very special moment to quickly recognize the performance rendered by the 1st Infantry Division and Major D. Love in presenting our colors and the national anthem. The 1st Infantry Division is joined by their leadership today. Unfortunately, Brigadier General Nels was unable to make it because her plane landed late, but I would like to direct attention to Command Sergeant Major Serrano, who is with us today. Thank you for your presence and welcome as our guest at today's event. For those that didn't know, the 1st Infantry Division is the oldest continually serving division of the regular Army. Their heritage dates back to World War I in 1917. They are often called the Big Red One or the Fighting First because of the distinctive shoulder patch that you'll see on them tonight. My name is Eric Prosser, and I will be your MC. I am honored to be associated with the University of Chicago as a SkillBridge intern in the Office of Military Affiliated Communities. After 13 years of service in the United States Air Force as a pilot, I wanted to go somewhere where I could continue to be a leader and build teams to try and solve our nation's challenges. The University of Chicago did not disappoint. All around me, I am surrounded by great leaders and great thinkers who have welcomed me to this campus. They are all etching their own contributions into society. Today, I am excited to share that experience with everyone in the room as we get to hear from a few of those great leaders today and revel in their experiences and accomplishments. So far at the University of Chicago, I have been continually embraced by the faculty, staff, and students who have helped guide and mentor me as I make my own transition from the military to civilian life. In the Office of Military Affiliated Communities, I worked under Dr. Terrell Odom, where I have received a graceful introduction to the veterans communities at the University of Chicago, but also for the city at large. Dr. Odom has worked tirelessly to ensure my preparation for my future academic goals, and I'm very excited for the upcoming opportunity to take graduate level classes at the Chicago Booth School of Business as a graduate student at large this winter. But culture like this doesn't evolve in a vacuum. It takes careful direction and mentorship of other distinguished individuals to provide the right environment for leadership and thought to grow. Therefore, it is my distinct honor this evening to introduce you to our first speaker today and our university president, President Paul Alivisatos. President Alivisatos is the 14th president of the University of Chicago. An alumni of the college, President Alivisatos began his educational career with a bachelor's in chemistry in 1981. He would later go on to study at Berkeley, where he earned his PhD. President Alivisatos' work has made significant contributions to the body of knowledge and science, and his research has been used in key applications of biomedicine and technology. He has contributed to more than 50 patents and holds over 25 awards, and has been a successful entrepreneur for multiple nanotechnology companies and publications. He has served on several boards, including the editorial board for Science Magazine and the boards of the University of Chicago National Laboratories. He's an accomplished instructor, a former professor in the Department of Chemistry and Material Sciences at Berkeley, but also an accomplished administrator and has served in several key roles, including Vice Chancellor of Research. Please help me give a warm welcome to President Alivisatos as he delivers today's opening remarks and discusses his views on what the veterans community means to the University of Chicago.
Well, thank you, Eric, and good afternoon. And what an honor it is to be here with you and to pay homage and to express gratitude to the veteran community here at the University of Chicago. I did not know a lot about what it's like to be in service. I wasn't privileged myself to do that until at a moment soon after I had become a faculty member. I was recruited to join something called the Defense Science Study Group. And during the ensuing 2 years, I had the privilege of, with a number of other scientists, to be taken around the entire military service complex to visit different parts of it. And as a citizen and a human being, to see what it is that our service members do in ways that few of us get to see. And it completely overwhelmed me, the experience of seeing the level of commitment, the rigor, the discipline, the excellence of that whole community was just astonishing to me. And here at the University of Chicago, we share some of these values very strongly. This is a place where we truly take our business with great seriousness and with rigor and with quantitation, but also in a sense of building community. And so to me, it feels quite natural that the University of Chicago and the veteran community can be really strong partners with each other. It's a natural fit. So I want, of course, today to thank students, family, staff, all of the veterans who are here for your service. I only have a glimpse of it, but what I saw leads me to understand what a life-forming experience it is and what a deep, deep personal commitment it truly is. So we're very grateful for the fact that you are here. And for the fact that we now have, I think, a really strong partnership that is growing. And so I wanted to say a little bit about that. Perhaps many of you have heard, over time we've had a growing veteran community here in all of our dimensions, students and staff and faculty, and it's fantastic that that's happening. And perhaps you heard already, earlier today, the university was able to make a really special announcement that with the support of an anonymous donor, we've received a gift that will support veterans who will go from their bachelor's degree to an MBA. It's a $24 million gift. It's a substantial contribution to that, and it's going to help us build. It's going to help us build some partnerships that will be absolutely extraordinary together. So we're absolutely thrilled, and it's a special day to be able to make that announcement. I also do want to say, in a sense, that represents the possibility for some of the students who come here for their undergraduate experience to continue with their graduate work. And this is going to be a theme in the coming years for the university. We are planning a series of new so-called 4+1 kind of programs in which we will partner with our undergraduate students. I just want to say a couple of things about the aspects of the culture here. As I mentioned, we're a place that believes in open inquiry. Freedom of expression is woven into every part of the fabric of this university. And we are a place that truly believes that for us to live up to our ideals, we also have to be a place that is open to people from all different backgrounds, that is a place where we cultivate a culture of open inquiry, diversity, and a sense of belonging by all of our community members, that each person belongs and has their voice to add to the conversation here in a deeply important way. And we believe in the college in a core curriculum that will help people to learn how to think, not what to think, and that all of our students will have the opportunity to have a kind of education that will help them lead a purposeful life. You've already had experiences that I think set you up for leading a truly deep and purposeful life through your military service. But what we can add here is also a sense of how to achieve that in your life, and that matters a great deal to us. For that reason, this kind of program, the bachelor's degree and then the MBA, or the bachelor's degrees and other kinds of professional degrees that we'll be supporting in the coming years, are ones that will express our partnership with students as they seek both to learn the kinds of things about knowledge that will let them have a life of purpose, but also that we will be their partner in achieving those professional goals as they go on further. I do want to take a moment now to acknowledge some of the very, very special programs and people who are here. I'd like especially to start by thanking Provost Lee, Kai Lee, who is here, and Bridget Collier, the Associate Provost for Equal Opportunity Programs, and especially a person who has already been mentioned, the amazing Terrell Odom. Terrell, you are an incredible force at this university. I think of the university as a kind of human network, and that human network involves people all connecting with each other. And in any network, there's always a few places that are like the really dense nodes on the network. There's lots of lines that converge at that point. Terrell, you're one of the dense nodes on the network here at this university because you touch so many people and you help them be better and stronger, and so thank you for that. I'd like to recognize the Robert R. McCormick Foundation for their tremendous partnership. The foundation has funded research and symposia to develop best practices and effective models to support veterans and to support their transition into institutions of higher education, such as this one, and throughout their careers, their academic careers. And that's really huge, and we are very grateful for that partnership. I want to call attention to OMAC's launch this year of the Department of Defense Skill Bridge program at the university. I just got to meet a group of SkillBridge folks who are here now at the university, and to hear their stories of how their service has brought them back here to the university, some of you from Chicago, some from elsewhere. It's a tremendous story, and I'm absolutely certain that SkillBridge will help lift up this university, and that also we will do our best to be partners with you on your journeys, and that the experience here will be an important one for you. I just want to conclude by reiterating how grateful we are for you and for the growth of the veteran community here, and for its engagement, and for the deep partnership that we have together. And I want to again acknowledge your service and thank you on behalf of all citizens at this university for what you have done in that regard. And we're now going to hear from a number of current service members and veterans who are serving as interns today. And so I'd like to welcome Pat Scanlon, a U.S. Army veteran and Chicago Booth alum, who has a lot of good stories also about his connections to this university. So, Pat.
Thank you, President Alva Santos. And there's so much to be said about humility and purposeful life. Those words are meaningful to veterans. Your leadership certainly makes a statement here, not only on this day, but across the university, where character is something that is certainly we all know as veterans is something top down and sets the framework. So thank you for all that. Honored guests and veterans and family members of veterans, and distinguished others who are here, this is a fantastic day. It's one of my favorite days of the year, maybe even more so than Halloween. But it's 4th of July, Veterans Day, Memorial Day. These are big days for veterans, and it's an honor to be part of this. My name's Patrick Scanlon. I am a veteran. I am a Booth 95 grad. Purposeful life, what I do for a living, I'm a wealth management financial advisor. But my service as veterans, that's one of the things, veterans are always serving. It's one of my things I like to say. And what I do with my team of board members for the Military Affairs Group in conjunction with the leadership of Dr. Terrell Odom, we provide a service that encompasses what happens here on campus, in our county, in the city that we love. We love our city. Despite the problems. We love our country. Sorry. And we're all trying to make it better, and we will. It just takes time, effort, and a little bit of sense of humor. As a member of this board and the Military Affairs Group, I am a South Sider. I'm Booth grad in 95. I actually have family history. My grandfather was class of 1913, national champions with the Monster of the Midway with Alonzo Stagg. His picture is in the archives, and his name is on the trophy in the gymnasium here. I'm commissioned out of West Point Ranger Airborne and Field Artillery. I'd like to demonstrate my red leg socks. All artillery guys wear their red leg socks. The Military Affairs Group, in conjunction with the Office of Military Affiliated Communities, we are doing so much. So much has happened in the last few years. It is amazing. We have been recognized as the #1 veteran university in America by U.S. News and World Report. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that recognition, we might be #2 now, because I think General McChrystal, who's at Yale, I think that they recently took it. Terrell, correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, we are at a top recognized university for veterans. It's an amazing thing. This has only happened in recent years. Thank you. For the first time, we are partnering with other universities in America, whether it's our career development seminars or other things that the Office of Military Affiliated Communities are doing, the University of South Florida, Wake Forest, Notre Dame, United States Military Academy, and others. These are the first time the Veteran Initiative is really in its infancy still. I think we're in the second inning, and here at University of Chicago, it's powerful with all of you people here and part of support of it. With that, I think we should kick it off to our panel discussion. When I have our panelists come forward and take your seats up here, I'll introduce you, if you don't mind. And because, can you hear this? Okay. Because Dr. Terrell provides the most awesome barbecue every year, I'm going to start with the United States Navy. And with my introductions, U.S. Navy Petty Officer Raven Edgeworth, there she is, DoD Skill Bridge intern, and Biological Science Division Comprehensive Cancer Center participant. Next is United States Marine Corps veteran Joseph Quinn, former DoD Skill Bridge intern and also Center for Economics and Human Development and Master of Public Policy at Harris. Next, United States Air Force Technical Sergeant Chelson Kincaid. There he is on the left, fellow Chicago native, thank you. DoD Skill Bridge intern and U of Chicago procurement. United States Army, we will go with, start with Kyle Pinedo. Second year in the college here at the University of Chicago, thanks Kyle. U.S. Army veteran Jacob Morris. Jacob, thank you. DoD Skill Bridge intern and also Biological Science Division Comprehensive Cancer Center participant. And U.S. Army spouse Annie Henderson Callahan. Annie's with the Master of Public Policy, VP for MASH, and also with the Office of Military Affiliated Communities, Veteran Restorative Justice Project, and research intern with that. So why don't you guys take your seats, get comfortable, check your mics, see that we got good commo. Our artillery guys got to have commo too. Okay, so over the next, this will be about 40 minutes, everybody. So we have a series of questions to ask our panelists. The first going to go to Raven, Joe, Chelson, Kyle, and Jacob. Tell me a little bit about why you chose to join the military and what about your role in military service. Raven, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Raven. So originally I chose to go to college at first. I started working at 16. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I graduated from Kenwood Academy. And I decided to join the Navy because my mom said it would be a good idea. So I'm like, okay. I signed up. I was served 12 years. I actually transitioned in April 2023. I was a logistics specialist, so I order all the parts and things for the aircrafts. And yeah, that's it.
Joe, go ahead.
Hi, I was in the Marine Corps for 9 years. I signed all the paperwork to join when I was 17, left when I was 18, did that for the past 9 years, got out in August. I joined the Marine Corps not really knowing what to expect. I was a first generation military member. I just thought it seemed really cool and it was a good way to get out of like the small town in Pennsylvania I grew up in. So I joined and did something I really didn't expect. I ended up like getting like technical training and becoming a signals analyst and spent most of my career working with the National Security Agency. And then was an instructor for a long time. So I did cyber stuff, signal stuff. Really nothing I expected to do when I joined, and not the things that most people expect me to have done when they know that I'm a Marine or was a Marine.
Thank you. Chelson.
How you doing? I'm Chelson. I'm originally from Chicago as well. I joined the military at 18. I joined the Air Force. I had an uncle, he was in the Army for 30 years. And I spoke to him because I knew I wasn't ready for college. I didn't know what I would have pursued, and I didn't want to waste my time, I felt. So I talked to him about it, and he said, if I could go back, he said, I think I would have joined the Air Force because of lifestyle reasons. So that kind of influenced my decision. I was dead set on joining the Marines. He kind of steered me away from that. I don't know if he saved me or not, but yeah.
Air Force always seemed to have the best facilities. Kyle?
Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I joined the Army National Guard because, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what else to do. It seemed fun. And I wasn't ready. I had just finished community college, and I wasn't ready for the next step. So I said, why not? And then the recruiter was like, you should try infantry. And then I said, why not? And it was a ride. It was a great time. I enjoyed myself. And yeah, you know, it ended up getting me here to the University of Chicago with, these great people here, you know, are amazing people.
And Jacob.
Yeah, so I commissioned through the ROTC program at Bradley University. I'm a Peoria native, so not too far from here. And yeah, I joined the Army. I actually have a family history. Both my granddads were in the Army. My granddad on my dad's side was actually the last in the Army Air Corps before the Air Force was a thing. And yeah, so I thought I wanted to do something bigger than myself. I never really thought of the family history until I was sitting down at an ROTC board, and I was like, I have 2 granddads. My aunt and my uncle were in the Air Force. My aunt left the Air Force because she said it was too easy and then joined the Army, so that's right.
In the movie Stripes, John Candy's famous line, "In the Army, it's free." And Annie, for your role as a spouse of a service member, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, you know, I obviously married into this. I don't do any of the hard work that these great people on stage do, but I do believe that people don't succeed alone, and that's a lot of my role. And I think, you know, not just the military, but if you know people who are firefighters or EMTs or anything that's a difficult, demanding, service-oriented job, you need to have people in your corner cheering for you. And I try to build that both on campus with our amazing student veterans and also within the greater Chicago community through the Veteran Restorative Justice Program.
Very good, thank you. So with those comments, we're going to switch gears a little bit to the topic of SkillBridge, which in itself is a really amazing program in allowing service members to get an early start on what they're going to do at the next phase of their life. Again, we'll go to Raven, Jacob, Chelson, and Joe on this. This question, tell us a little bit about what you learned in this program, things about what it took to get admissions, get through the process, and was there any apprehension when going through that about your actual departure from military service?
So if you served in the military, they kind of teach you or try to coach you like, oh, if you get out, it's nothing out there. What are you going to do? How are you going to be successful? You get paid on the 1st and the 15th. So what are you going to do afterwards? So at first I was kind of nervous about transitioning. But I know once they told me I had to go back to a ship for 5 years, I knew I was like, okay, I got to transition. So I went on the SkillBridge website, and I seen that I put everything in for Chicago, Illinois. University of Chicago was an option. So it gave you step-by-step on what to do on the website and who to contact, which was Dr. Odom. I contacted Dr. Odom. He got back to me right away. I got my whole package together that he wanted and interviewed, and everything about it was smooth sailing. It was amazing, all the advice he was able to give me, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, so to piggyback off of what Raven said, a lot of, and from what I've seen in myself personally, is, you know, kind of leadership as you're heading out the door. That false sense of fear is always there. Not sure what that is, but it seems to be a theme. But as the internship program itself, she hit on the communication, the speed, the ease of, you know, access to both Terrell and many of his other contacts, that as soon as you start to reach out to him, he's already moving. So that's what's so great about OMAC, is the speed of communication and the ease of the process. So I think that's a great stepping stone, and can definitely build on that, and the sky's the limit. So.
Very well said. Chelson?
I actually learned about the program a few years ago through one of my troops who actually wanted to do the program, and I began facilitating, helping them to actually go through the program until they got out. So last year when the time came and I had to make a decision as my enlistment was coming up, I was like, do I want to, the thought came to my mind that this is an option. So I reviewed the options for Chicago because I knew I wanted to come back home, and there wasn't much that would interest me, but the University of Chicago jumped out because of my business degree. And like they said, once I got in contact with Terrell, everything was streamlined from there. I did meet resistance from my unit because we were low on tech sergeants, but I had to write an MFR stating what the program was, how it would help me, how it would help my transition, and after that, my unit was totally on board.
Joe?
Yeah, I found out about the program maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was just another Marine who was a peer of mine, and he described it to me, and I was like, yeah, dude, you're lying to my face. Like, there's no way what you're describing is real. That's made up. That's too good to be true. And then, like, I looked it up, and I was like, wow, like, this is legit. But I mean, it was a fight for him to get it approved through the command. We were a training command, and he and I were both instructors at the time, so it's pretty rough. Like, we were undermanned at the time, so it was really, really hard to work out the timing to like get my command to like let me do this, especially for like the just shy of 6 months. So that was rough, because the way the Marine Corps does it, at least, like you count against that unit's manning the entire time you're on SkillBridge. So it can be a really difficult sell. But the program itself and like why I wanted to do it, I looked at maybe like the SkillBridge has a website that the DoD hosts, and it's got maybe. Now it's probably like 1,000. At the time, it was like 700 some organizations. I probably looked through the entire list and wrote down maybe 100 I was interested in. I contacted maybe 10. There's only one that got back to me, and it was Terrell Odom. Yeah. Like, and I know a lot of people said good things about Terrell, but I mean, he's somebody who's singularly had more of an effect on the overall trajectory of my life than maybe any other individual I can point to, like at least in the past 5-6 years of my life. So thank you, Terrell. I don't know where you are, but I would. Yeah.
Where is he? Oh, there he's in the back. Oh, he's in the back.
And you know, like Jacob said, this is really like the University of Chicago, and Terrell like does this program right. Like gets back to you, gets you the information you need. But there were a lot of things I thought I wanted to do, but I knew ultimately, like going to graduate school, like I did my college degree online while I was enlisted, and I knew I wanted to go to graduate school. I didn't know if I wanted to do it right away. But when I saw University of Chicago, I knew a thing or two and knew that University of Chicago was a very, very good school. Looked into it, and I said, you know what, like I could go be a firefighter in California. I could do that through SkillBridge, or I could try to go right to grad school. And I thought grad school would be a good way to do it. Talked to Terrell, and I mean, it was a very easy sell, and I wanted to come here. You know, when I was in, I think I developed like a pretty large sense of responsibility to other people, to like trying to have an impact on communities, you know, the world more broadly. And it was and still is my hope that being here, getting the education I'm going to have is going to give me the ability to do that and help other people. So yeah.
A great U.S. Navy quote, "There's no traffic jams along the extra mile." That's Roger Staubach. And that speaks to a lot of things that go on here with SkillBridge and OMAC and all the above. Kyle and Annie, switching to you both. With your participation in the SkillBridge intern part of the program, can you share some of your experiences with the military affiliated community and what you've done?
Yeah, so this is my first year on campus, and it's been amazing. You know, I was extremely nervous. I was on active duty with my unit right before I got here, and I found myself questioning myself a lot. I was like, what am I doing here? University of Chicago, this is ludicrous, you know, Indiana Jones was here, and you know, these people are world leaders, they're super smart, and there's so many things going on in my head, and I just had to sort of take a step back, take a breath, and just find my bearing, you know, and I learned how to just sort of how to be a veteran, you know, because there's no playbook on it. You sort of just come, you finish your service, and then you sort of just start understanding, oh, this is how I be a veteran, and you take it easy, and you realize other veterans are really cool. They're awesome. They're awesome to hang out with. They're laid back, especially here at the university. I got here, and you know, I just hit the ground running. Terrell introduced me to amazing veterans, you know, who just, you know, who are my friends now, and they've taught me so much. You know, people that I've never thought I'd be talking to before. Like I take, he's here in this room. I take biology with a special forces medic. He's in the back, you know, and it's just like, wow, it's a phenomenal experience. But the transition's been amazing, and it's been through OMAC. You know, it's been because of Terrell, and I loved it. Now I'm dabbling with the Veteran Restorative Justice Project with Annie. Next week I'm going to a conference. I talked to Terrell, and they're sending me to Atlanta to just sort of learn a bit more about what other criminologists around the country are doing, and just sort of bring that back to the University of Chicago, and just further the research. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, I think kind of adding on to what Kyle said and what others on the stage have said as well, which is, Dr. Terrell Odom has built an amazing community. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, is well aware of how wonderful, how powerful this community is, and how many opportunities and friendships it gives to those in it. I feel particularly lucky to be here because I have never lived in the military community where my husband served, and that can be isolating at times. And this community has welcomed me with open arms and it's given me so much, and has also allowed me to give back through the Veterans Restorative Justice Project. And that work is exactly why I came to grad school. It's exactly why I pursued public service. And Pat, I think you said it best, which is I think veterans are always serving, and I am just trying to get on board with that ethos. And the work we do at the Veterans Restorative Justice Project pays dividends, because when you invest in one veteran, they go out and want to invest in other people as well. We've seen that in our program time and time again. I've worked directly with a man who is 60, and he always tells me, Annie, this is my second chance for life. I'm gonna live 30 more years helping other people like me get a second chance at life. And I think that's really beautiful and inspiring, and that's what we get to do every day. So I'm really grateful for that.
And for any of you, the path that you came on, you leave the military service, and it's a completely different world. You're entering a world that's so familiar to everyone, but yet so foreign to you, and the multitude of choices of where to go. Can any of you speak to that, and like how maybe with what University of Chicago offered or presented, how it helped you mitigate that daunting task to sift through all the choices and finally come here?
I can give it a shot.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I worked at the National Security Agency for a little while, which is a weird job to have as a 19-year-old, just to be like an intelligence analyst at the National Security Agency and like be a Marine and just like show up to work and like that's what you're doing. It's weird. Yeah. And it was, parts of it were amazing. Like it was an extremely interesting role to have for several years, to work within that community, to deploy for that community and do that work. And the training was top notch, but I didn't want to do that with my life. So I looked and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to stay in the intelligence community. I just wanted to do different things. And what the University of Chicago offered was, a lot of potential for higher education that I thought could give me the credentials I would need to like land a role specifically in public policy. I was interested in public policy and economics, wanted to get a PhD, wanted to continue to study, and the university offered a direct role into higher education. So I wasn't exactly sure, and I'm still not, exactly what I want to do with my life in a larger sense, but having a clear trajectory to get that education, those skills, to be able to do it in the first place. That's what the university offered that I think was pretty unique.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, the University of Chicago, it's offered me phenomenal, unique experiences, as well. I met a billionaire last week because of Terrell. Shout out to Terrell.
It's that barbecue.
It was so
telling
casual.
you.
I've never met a billionaire before, and I met a billionaire, and I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say. I was like, hi, and she was like, how's it going? I was like, wow. It's just things like that. It's life-changing. It's just like, I was able to network with amazing people at this gala that I was invited to through the University of Chicago, through Terrell, and I'm so appreciative of it. And I could already tell, like, even for someone, like, I'm still on the fence about what I want to do in the next couple of years, but I know, like, wherever I'm going to go, the veteran community here, the University of Chicago, it's gonna guide me in the right direction. It's gonna give me the resources that I need to be successful.
Yeah, so I think, Joe hit the nail on the head with the straight trajectory that you have coming here is unbeatable. You know, leaving the military, you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do for a job? Well, not only did I get to intern as a CRC at the BSD, I now am going to have a job with BSD, and my wife has a job with BSD. So all those fears and those notions of, you know, what are you going to do? There's nothing out there, squashed right out the get-go. And that's something that is truthful and honest straight from the start. So I can't say anything better than that. And thank you, Lauren, for working with Terrell. And again, those connections are just so strong in the university, as the president said as well. It's incredible. So.
Very good, thank you. Let's see, let's go with Raven and Chelson. For both of you who have staff positions and interning here at University of Chicago, tell us a little bit more about that internship, the work you're doing, and the goals associated with completing your internships.
Yes, so I work at the BSD as well in the Cancer Center with Lauren and Amanda. So I actually chose to do a two-part internship, which half is regulatory compliance and the other is finance. So with the regulatory, it's mostly researching the cancer and everything that goes with it. And the finance is kind of proposing the grants for the money to be spent and everything of that nature. So I chose both because in the Navy, even though I stated I was logistics, in the military, it's like you have more than one job. You have like your job and then you have collateral, which is extra jobs that you have to do. So I did finance, human resources, and everything of that nature. So I was like, okay, I could take the time to learn both and see how they intertwine with each other. So afterwards, after doing the intern, I looked to become a hire in a cancer center.
So currently I work in the procurement services department under Deborah Cavey and Patricia Ferreter. In July, they're onboarding the Oracle system, and right now they have a multitude of databases where all the vendor information is, and things got cluttered over the years. So before onboarding this system, they wanted to go through all these systems and have somebody clean things up. So I was given an opportunity to do that based on my skill set. They wanted me to come on as a project manager to lead projects to clean up these vendor databases, and I think every NCO in the military is a project manager at some point or a manager of some sorts. So this fell well into my skill set, and it was in a financial realm as well, which I was comfortable with. So I was very excited when this was lined up for me when I did the interview, and it was directly facilitated by Terrell. Once again, he found the fit for me, and when they reviewed my resume and everything, they felt that I would do well in the role. And since I've started, it's been 3 months now, I found that they've been great leaders. A lot of times in organizations, information is the hardest thing to come by, and it's the thing that caused the most frustration. Excuse me. I never have that problem. Every week I have meetings with these people. They relay information to me. I feel like some of the members in the department have adopted me as a son, and they take care of me. They're very protective, and they make sure that I have everything that I need to get the job done. So it's been a great fit for me.
Chelsea, you mentioned the word leadership. Can you reference one thing maybe in your military career that really epitomized what leadership meant to you and how it contributed to what you're talking about?
So I got out at the rank of tech sergeant. There were periods of time. My last unit in Minot, North Dakota, I led a team of over 20 people. And coming in at 18, I never thought about actually, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to have that responsibility over me. I quickly found out that as I progressed, this is something that I'm going to have to do, and this is something I have to learn. And more than anything, the thing that I got from the military was of course, the relationships with people, but it was leading other individuals that were younger than me, seeing them do the things that I did when I came in, and being able to help them as they went along their path so they didn't make the mistakes that I did. And leadership, I have a business degree. I took the classes about it, but it doesn't it still doesn't prepare you for the role until you actually in that position, working with people, and you seeing the things that they go through. You have those difficult days where people go through things, and you have to step away from work, or you have to do the personal things that is not easy to do. In the department that I'm in, these things this is made known to you that they have your back. My father, he had a major surgery a couple weeks back, and I had to tell them that I'm gonna need the day, and Patty told me, she called me right away, and she said, Chelsea, take the whole day off. If you need more time, let me know. And the days after that, she followed up. And I've only known Patty for 2 months. I've only known some of the other people in the department for 2 months, and that really let me know that, these people have my back. These people are actively thinking about me and the situations that I'm going through. They're being leaders in their own right.
Well, yeah, well said. Thank you. So let's go. How about Joe and Jacob? To you both. Tell us a little bit about your internships and your time spent at the Center for Economics on Human Development and the BSD's Comprehensive Cancer Center while taking graduate courses. Tell us a little bit about that. Joe, why don't you go first?
Sure, yeah. So Terrell got me connected with the Center for the Economics of Human Development, and she's not here, but I would also just like to thank Grace Hammond, who at the time was the Director of Operations there. She's the one who onboarded me. She's now the Executive Director of the New Stone Research Center here at the University of Chicago. But she was wonderful and just really helped me to get an understanding of what goes into economic research. Like, mostly from an operational perspective, like understanding pretty comprehensively how, like what does that even look like? For me, somebody who had never really put much thought into what's in the background of an academic paper, or maybe I'd put a lot of thought into it, but it completely mystified process for me. 100% obfuscated, no idea what that actually looks like. So getting to work at a research center, talking to the pre-docs, the postdocs, the researchers, and getting an idea of like, what is this, what are you actually doing? Like, how do you go from having like a research question to actually putting people out there to gather the information, to do all the operations side things, to actually make that research happen, and then conducting the research. So very, very eye-opening experience for me. And in addition, doing graduate classes was phenomenal. I got to take, as a graduate student at large, a class at Harris. It was Inequality, Theory, Methods, and Evidence, and I was woefully underqualified for it. And in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have signed up for it if I had known how out of my depth I was. Because it was a second-year PhD class, but luckily it only had one assignment. It was a group project at the end, so crushed it. Got a B+. But that class too. Out of my depth a little bit, but what a wonderful and eye-opening experience it was. Professor Stephen Durloff was one of the lecturers, along with Professor Dan Black, and just a great class to see, like, what's at the forefront of like economic research specifically related to inequality, and that's, how I think I would like to spend my academic career in life. It was kind of hard to balance at first because it was so different, but everyone that I worked with it's so understanding. And they're like, oh, classes go first. Like, oh, it's like no problem. And like everything military career-wise, especially being in training command, like I had a platoon under me. Everything like just every day was just like, hey, like if you drop the ball on anything, it's a huge deal. Like, and everyone's gonna be so mad at you. And then I would just show up to work like, and they'd be like, hey Joe, what's up? And I'd be like, hey, like I'm 2 minutes late. You're not like mad? They're like, oh no, like, yeah. So it was a great experience overall. Yeah.
Jacob, and you can feel free to elaborate. Having your wife and son along with this process, please feel free to share about those experiences.
So my transition, my wife and son transition first. We got a house here. Everything was set to go. I've talked to my leadership for months about this internship. It was supposed to be 6 months. I go in to get the SkillBridge paperwork signed, and I get told, big fat disapproved. I ask why. It's not in the best interest of the unit. Nothing else for that, even though verbally, written, everything. Then I go back, okay, well, here is a document MILPER message that says now they're doing 4 months. Okay, battalion commander, here is a 4-month proposal. No, still not going to do it. Okay, well, I would like to talk to brigade commander. If anyone knows, that's usually a bad thing to say, but this is my life, this is my future. My wife and son are already thousands of miles away. What am I going to do after that? So I called Terrell, and he's like, well, if they said outside of a 50-mile radius, we're going to see if we can make it a remote internship. Couldn't really say no to that after everything else. So that's where it ended up. My 6-month turned into a 60-day remote internship with my wife and son up here. Separated for 2 months. I know that's not really a big deal for people who have been deployed and, for a year, 9 months. But for someone who hasn't been separated for a while, it was kind of tough. But it's hard when it's only because one person, can kind of stifle and try to stonewall you. But it is what it is. But we're here now. We're happy, and we can't thank Terrell and Lauren Wall, who's a head over at the Cancer Center. And they've given us amazing opportunities. And as a clinical research coordinator intern, now I get to help people in the gynecology-oncology department with cancer trials. And myself, I have lost an aunt to ovarian cancer about 12 years ago. So it's very special to me to be able to work with such a great team and at such a prestigious university and hospital. So we're looking forward to the future, and again, we can't thank everyone enough. So,
And to that point, I think something that every veteran takes away, veteran or active service people who are still out there doing what they do, military people know how to fix stuff when you're under a time crunch. I always say if you're showing up for a party and the cabinet's falling off the wall and there's 100 people showing up in half an hour, a veteran can figure that out, how to fix it, at least until that party gets done and out of the house. So those are always like little skills that we bring along with us from our experience. How about Annie and Kyle? Let's go back to you both. Give us some of your thoughts on university experience on campus. And I know you both are part of the OMAC and the Veterans Restorative Justice Program. Can you give us some insights on that and some of your experiences and embellish on it?
So I've been working with the Veteran Restorative Justice Project since May of this year, and I'm currently a research intern, which means I do two things. I call veterans and ask them how their experience in the court and in the program is, and try and figure out how we can make things better. And then I fill all of the gaps with Terrell, obviously. I fill all of the gaps that are left between from all the different types of government support. So when the VA fails, or when the county transportation benefits fail, or when the court fails, or if there isn't someone there for the veteran to call, they are usually calling Dr. Terrell Odom, and that means they're getting a call back from me so I can source out what their problem is. And it's a lot of problem solving, which is, can we do this through, the normal government channels, or do we have to, figure out a creative solution for that? And that's where, the grant from the McCormick Fund Foundation becomes really important. And this work is kind of interesting because you get to know the real nitty-gritty of people's lives, and every day you're working with veterans who have, I think, had the opposite of some of the transition experiences that you're hearing about. People who were kind of just booted, or people who maybe woke up from a coma and realized that they were no longer in the military. And it really brings home how important the type of work that UChicago does for veterans who come to campus, because the opposite leads to a really grim picture.
Yeah, and just starting on the project, it was fairly easy for me to just sort of work with Dr. Odom and everyone else on the Veteran Restorative Justice Project. I expressed that I had an interest, and I showed my credentials to Dr. Odom, and when I told him about this conference in Atlanta and how we could sort of talk about the project more there and, gain support within the criminology community, he was all for it, and even further, he was like, if you think of anything else that you could expand with this project or you can further research on, just let the group know, let the team know, let me know, and, I'll support you. And again, that's taking it back. There's just the veteran community on campus, there's so much support, and for me, it sort of feels like, I was talking to another veteran in a weird way. It sort of feels like checking into a new unit, but not really. Like, it's like you're with these vets from all these cool different backgrounds and experiences, and, these guys that got your back, they're looking out for you, and regardless of what happened in the past, it's like you're here now, and you're in a community full of love and support, and you guys are just, you're looking forward to the future.
And if there's any Chicagoans who watch WGN, I believe this was highlighted last night on the 5 p.m. news broadcast. So, Annie, were you in that? Yes, I think, yeah. So nice recognition again for University of Chicago, and again, what we're doing as a veteran community. To wrap up here, and again, thank you for all the panelists. Can we give them a round of applause for their contributions? Annie, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go and wrap up. If you were to list one thing that was a key to success in your transition, one lesson learned, that hinged most of your success, what would that be?
When Dr. Terrell Odom calls and asks you to do something, you say, "Yeah, I'll do that."
E.F. Hutton, there he is. Yeah.
I know he's
Yeah.
tired of us talking,
Yeah.
but truly, I think it's finding the people who support you, and Terrell makes it so easy.
Kyle?
For me, it's being humble. I'm a sponge. I came here, and I'm learning from everybody. There's so many brilliant minds at the University of Chicago, so I've just been taking it all in, and it's been great.
Yeah. Raymond?
For me, it would have to be networking, and that's what Dr. Terrell shows us every day. We meet someone new, no matter what position. It's like, hey, I know this person from this. He knows everybody, so it would definitely be networking, getting their business cards, and so forth.
Jacob?
Yeah, so I have 4 keys. 1, God. 2, and a close second, Terrell Odom. 3, Lauren Wall. And then 4 is perseverance. If you want something, you just got to go get it. So,
Yeah.
I forgot to add Terrell Odom to mine.
Yeah, I think I'd like to start with sense of humor. But more importantly than that, realistically, I think it's letting other people help, and seriously knowing when to ask too is a pretty big deal. Leaving the Marine Corps, I was I should be able to take care of myself. I was a staff sergeant, but you know what I don't know anything about? It's graduate school. Barely feel like I know anything about college. Sometimes having a pretty intense sense of humility and understanding how little I know about the things that I'm involved in now, and really being able to ask people some pretty basic questions, and trusting that they're going to take care of you. Yeah.
I think, as Abe said, the support and just knowing you have a wealth of resources afforded to you.
Yeah, the common thread of humility, character, being able to, if you're in a team and maybe you're the team leader, knowing that there's someone junior to who's going to take your position and needs to take your position one day, and being cool with that, and teaching that person, him or her, about your job and what they're going to do, because you're going to have to move on one day too. That takes a lot of humility, and a lot of the other things that were mentioned. I want to thank you, all panelists, and everyone here today. Again, I want to recognize Provost Lee and President Alva Santos for their leadership and making this happen, because without that, and Dr. Terrell Odom, of course, we wouldn't be here. Thank you all for your time and being part of this Veteran Day presentation.
Thank you to Pat and all the panelists. Good evening, everybody. If you couldn't put two and two together, that was my beautiful better half up here on stage. I think it's pretty obvious she's the brains of the operation. I'm a current SkillBridge intern conducting my internship with the University of Chicago Institute of Politics in partnership with the Office of Military Affiliated Communities. And I'm also an MA candidate in the Committee on International Relations. My wife and I are fellows here at the International House, and we'd like to invite you to join us next Wednesday, November 16th at 5:30 p.m. for the Future of Democracy in Brazil in conversation with Dilma Rousseff. She's the former president of Brazil. This event will be entirely in Portuguese, but if you come, we will have translation services available for English speakers. You can register through the IOP's website at politics.uchicago.edu. So I first learned of the great work Terrell and the rest of the University of Chicago is doing through my work as an alumni volunteer at Cornell University. Some fellow Big Red vets came to Chicago for graduate school, and they just raved about the community they found here. And Annie and I came here on active duty, and we got to see that firsthand when I partnered with Terrell and the rest of the university as a leader in the Army Recruiting Command. From civil-military partnerships, improving trauma care, both at home and on the battlefield, to best-in-class alumni relations, and an innovative student career services, UChicago gets it right. It's clear that there's no better place in the U.S. right now to be a military-affiliated student, scholar, or higher education worker. And though Veterans Day is a time to celebrate those of us who came home from war, not all of us were so lucky. So I now want you to bring your attention to the table in the middle of the room, which is designated to honor those service members who are missing in action or prisoners of war. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intention to respond to their country's call to arms. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon tied on the vase is reminiscent of the yellow ribbon worn upon the lapel of those who bear witness to the unyielding determination and to demand a proper accounting of our missing. The candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. The glass is inverted, they cannot toast with us this night. The chair is empty, they are not here. All of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended on their might and aid and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Let us pause in remembrance. Until the day they come home, remember. Now, as we close out our program today, we'd like to thank several partners who have made UChicago's veteran programming and initiatives a success this year. First off, President Alivisatos and Provost Lee for answering the call and affirming our presence on campus with support and resources. Our partners here at iHouse, their unwavering commitment to supporting military-affiliated persons on campus is unparalleled, and we thank you for your continued support, the use of your beautiful event space. Our partners who also support military-affiliated persons on campus, the Office of the Provost, the Crown Family School, especially Dean Gorman Smith, the University of Chicago Law School and Law School Veterans, Chicago Booth School of Business and the Armed Forces Group, the Harris School of Public Policy and MASH, UChicago Medicine's Trauma Center, especially Drs. Rogers and Wilson, Biological Science Division's Comprehensive Cancer Center, including Dr. Odunzi and Lauren Wall, the Undergraduate College, Perspectives Limited, University of Chicago Professional Education, the Office of the University Registrar, especially Scott Campbell, Joanne Creviston, and Mary Stefik, the Office for Civic Engagement, Campus and Student Life, especially Dean Rasmussen and Mike Hayes, Alumni Relations and Development's Military Affinity Group, and of course, Equal Opportunity Programs, Office for Military Affiliated Communities, including Bridget Collier, Scott Velasquez, Mitchell Kitloss, and certainly last but not least, Dr. Terrell Odom. Thank you again to our MC, moderator, and panelists for sharing their experiences, raising awareness for veterans, and the veteran initiatives at University of Chicago Medical Center and within the UChicago Alumni Military Affinity Group. Thank you to the University of Chicago Veterans and Family Readiness Program for supporting military-affiliated families. Thank you all to all the brave service members and veterans for their sacrifice for our freedoms. I hope you all have a great night.